I bought a used Proxxon BFB 2000. It's a drill stand that is particular for milling, and it got some convincing function in that regard. Before I got this, I thought the thing will be flimsy, but some components aren't that flimsy. If you look at the head from behind, you think that this is pretty thin material and it's open, but this and this are pretty thick pieces of aluminum, very sturdy, really surprising. So let's keep that in mind. The machine bed looks kind of promising, not too shabby and a firm appeal. But if we look on the back of the machine bed, we notice that there are two little screws which holds the column in place. And that is kind of flimsy. Luckily, the newest version of this drill stand understood the issue and solved it. The newest version clamps the machine bed on the column. Problem I got with this is that it gets loose pretty easy, and if you tighten it very strong, you get deep burrs that scratches the hole if you want to reposition the column. I don't know if this pipe is original, but I noticed a lot movement between the machine bed and the column. It appears as the column is a bit too small for the hole. I mean, the column itself is a pipe. That's pretty flimsy. Let's move on and spectate how much precision this stand has to offer. I used a Metabo BE 620 drilling machine. This machine has a really precise neck, so I can rely on that it's not the fault of the drilling machine. The angle from the front looks kinda good. It's a bit off, but good thing is that we can rotate on this axis, so we can dial it in and find the right spot. And the right spot is a little bit to the left of 0. I could do it more precise, but I like that it's already decent. It's near to be square. The angle from the side is extreme, it's way off. Like this you never get a flat surface, the hole's never gonna be square. It's surprising, I didn't expect the angle to be that bad. It could be the column, but I think it has something to do with the receiving hole. I take in consideration that the machine bed is pretty used, we can all agree on that, but it doesn't appear like the machine bed lost so much surface that it ruins the angle like that. Also, if you pull the lever a bit too high, the angle gets tilted, but I think it's a problem of the spring that wants to squeeze through this metal sheet under the dovetail guide. For now, I can live with that. I paid 30 for this. If I had paid the retail price, it would be a bummer. I could make it heavier, I could change the column, but I want to use it now, with those existing parts. So I tightened this little two screws hard, and first I wanted to put some filler gauge tape under the coordinate table and hope that I get a good angle. But after Proxxon told me I should put the drilling machine into the machine holder, and before I tighten it, I lift the machine a tiny bit, the angle improved very well. I think all can agree that the fine feed is the most interesting feature of this drill stand. With this feature, milling isn't far away to be accomplished. If you move the big lever a bit and switch this little one right here, you can activate this half nut. Now you can feed with this screw, and it's really well made. Proxxon did very well here. Everything on the head is precision. There is no play anywhere. No play on the dovetail guide, no play to left and right. Besides the bad side angle, everything is almost fine. I really like that you can approach the workpiece with the big lever and then switch to the fine feed. That is really fast and convenient. In general, the work with the fine feed is very convenient. It's really a pleasure to work with. Also, this kind of lever knobs are very appreciated by me. It's fast and you don't need extra tools. It makes a difference and complements everybody's laziness. At first I didn't like the drill stand because of the bad angle, but after the easy fix I forgot that little flaw. In terms of milling workflow, this is the best drill stand I have. With the Duskay B43, it's almost impossible to mill comfortable. I wouldn't recommend it. The Duskay B43 is way more beefy and sturdy, but the way it's designed, it's hard to mill with it. Without the possibility to fine adjust the height, it's annoying to mill. With the Babeco BF 1240, it is a bit better to mill. Still, it misses a fine adjust for the depth of the cut, and the workflow isn't that fluent compared to the Proxxon BFB 2000. It's enjoyable to work with the Proxxon, but you can feel that it could benefit from a bit more weight and stiffness. Let's make a dry run. Imagine your machine is in the machine holder. Your drill and mill bit is in the chuck. Now, you want to do precious work. So you start to undo the star grip, undock the spring. Approach the workpiece with the big lever. Activate the half nut and make your fine adjust with the fine feed screw. After that, clamp the machine holder into place, and if you want, you can activate the spring again by tightening the star grip. And you can do that process back and forth. The good thing is you can really focus on milling rather than being occupied with checking if the adjustment is right. Like I said earlier, the weight is a downside. You can swap out the tube and put a 45mm arbor round stock in there. You get the machine bed heavier with a thick piece of steel, or you pure UHPC concrete in the machine bed. But concrete has a high pH value that would react with the aluminum, so you should pre-coat it with epoxy. But the lightweight can also be a good thing. You can store it really fast. The conclusion is that I recommend this drill stand. It's precious enough and has an enjoyable workflow. It's not the most precise drill stand, but it's solid enough to get recommended. Even though the Wabeco BF1240 has a really heavy and well-made machine bed, I prefer the Proxxon BFB 2000. I have to admit that it can be gambling to get a good angle with the advice of Proxxon to lift the drilling machine a bit. But compared to other drill stands, you can improve the angle. Is the advice of Proxxon reliable? Not really. It can happen that you have to do it over and over again. The angles differ from each other. And once you got it square, then you never want to take the machine out again. I found no reliable method to get the angle every time. By any means, the angle isn't perfect. The weirdest thing about this is the angle is much better with the coordinate table. Probably the coordinate table is imprecise in the opposite direction, which levels out the angle quite a bit. This drill stand has its pros and cons like every drill stand. Besides the lack of the reliability, I'm positively surprised that you can get somewhat accurate values. With the weight of 6.5 kg, it's very light. The machine bed weighs 1.5 kg, the column weighs 1.3 kg, and the head weighs 2.92 kg. It's kinda top heavy. The column is a pipe. Just by swapping out the pipe against full material, you would get an increase by around 4 kg. But I wouldn't recommend the upgrades, because it's not an economical investment. I would rather buy something bigger. Yeah, that's it. Till next time.